Time for another mini hat tutorial. This time I'll be showing how I made Azul's Tricorn hat for his Masquerade look. Now of course I couldn't make it 100% accurate, but I got it pretty close I think. And it's actually not all that dissimilar to how I made Riddle and Deuce's Cavalier hats. The brim is the exact same, just folded up in 3 different places. However, they are entirely different in the area where your head is supposed to go. It's not cylinder shaped. So we gotta do something entirely different in order to create that structure. Now without further ado, let's get started. Grab you another soda can box, cut out one of the bigger panels, and draw the biggest circle you can possibly manage on the panel. Then draw a smaller circle in the center of that big circle and cut it all out. This is gonna be your brim. Like I said, it's the same kind as a Cavalier hat, just folded up. Then use that piece as a template to draw and cut out 2 circles of black craft felt. Cut them both out, including the hole in the center of each circle, then set them aside for later. And this is where it starts getting different. Now you're going to take one of the longer rectangular panels of the soda can box and cut off the end tabs. Next, draw 8 evenly spaced lines so you have 8 strips of even thickness and cut them all out. Now grab one of your strips by the end and place the end on the underside of the center hole in your brim and bend the strip to make a fold where it meets the edge of the hole. Then feed the rest of the strip into the hole and adjust the strip to create an arch. Once you like the positioning, bend that other end of the strip to make another fold, making some room for a little tab, then cut off the excess. Now fire up your hot glue gun and glue the tabs to the underside of the brim. Now you're going to repeat this process, but this strip is going to cross over the first one. And in order to keep these pieces in alignment, I do recommend adding a dab of hot glue where these 2 pieces meet. Now you're going to repeat this process 2 more times, but instead of going over top, you're going to go under in an X shape. The goal is for it to look like a Union Jack type situation. Once the glue is cooled, cut out a nice medium-sized square of black felt to go over top of the dome. Hot glue it down to the center of the dome first, then start pulling it down and hot gluing it to the base of the dome a little bit at a time. Now of course this isn't gonna come out perfect because I'm not an expert hat maker, but this will work for what I need it for. After you have it all glued down, take some scissors and cut away the excess. And don't worry if it's not that clean, it'll get covered up anyway. Now bring back your felt circles from earlier and glue them to the top and bottom of your brim. Now to add that same glittery gold ribbon trim to the edge of the brim with more hot glue. Remember to do this a little bit at a time or it'll get messy. Now for the hard part. In order to get the tricorn look, I folded each side one at a time, added a glob of hot glue where it touched the dome, and basically just had to hold it there until the glue cooled off. As for the rest of the decorations, Azul's hat has 3 gigantic purple ostrich feathers sticking up out of the back. So I drew 3 feather shapes on some purple construction paper, cut them out, and snipped it a whole bunch of times, almost making my hand cramp up. If you're gonna do this craft for yourself, please take breaks in between making feathers. Your hands will thank you later. After I got all the feathers cut up, I went over it with watercolor paint in a darker shade of purple to give the feathers more dimension and to make them look more real. Now once the paint dries, you're going to notice that the feathers are very floppy. So you're going to take 3 of the leftover cardboard strips from earlier and glue them down the center of the back of each feather for some support and slightly bend them. Once the glue has cooled and your feathers are fully spined, you are free to add them to the back of your hat in a fan type arrangement. And here I just really wanted to show off the feathers, but having my phone sideways just would not fit them in all the way, so I did it vertical. And now for the final touch, the gold seashells. My original plan was to paint them with metallic gold paint, but for the first time in my life, I was out. But I did find this gold glitter spray paint in my mom's spray paint stash, which ended up being much faster. So for the first time in my life, me being out of a certain paint color was a happy accident. About an hour later, the paint should be dry, and then you are free to decorate your hat with your shells as you see fit. But first, we gotta appreciate the sparkle. These came out so pretty, oh my goodness. So glad I used the spray paint instead of the acrylic. I used a couple of the shells to cover up the glue blobs that were holding the sides in place on the dome, and added a couple to the outside to match the clamshells on the sides of Azul's hat in the card art. I had one extra shell left over and I didn't want to waste it, so I glued it onto the back. And there you have it, your very own mini tricorn hat. Now, due to the nature of it being a mini hat, it's not going to stay on your head on your own, so I recommend, gluing a headband onto it or something. I didn't have a headband, so it was just being held onto my head by bobby pins and a prayer. Don't do what I did. Put it on a headband, please. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little DIY project, and until next time, stay twisted.